Hi, I'm Tammy Potter, and welcome to the Pregnancy Process Podcast, a show designed to help you navigate the hugely transformative journey to motherhood, where you'll hear the unique experience of experts in this area and the incredible stories of women sharing their conception, pregnancy, and postnatal journeys so that you can have a healthier, more informed pregnancy. And in today's episode, we're talking to Meals4Mummas CEO Ash Kay. Ash is a naturopathic nutritionist, herbalist, and holds a diploma of Ayurvedic studies. Her business, Meals4Mummas, is dedicated to helping women restore their health and well-being during the all-important fourth trimester and beyond. In today's episode, we're going to talk about postnatal depletion and how your fourth trimester can affect your body and recovery for the next 40 years of your life. We'll talk the importance of postpartum nutrition in fighting this and what you can do to support yourself in the best possible way during this important stage. Ash, thank you so much for your time today. It is fantastic to have you here with us. I think the best place to start is with your own journey with fertility and how your journey with fertility brought you down the path to natural health and medicine. Is that all right with you? Can we start there?
Absolutely. It's quite a story. When I was 18, I had an ovarian tumor, and I was then with my ex-husband. We weren't married then, but his family were quite alternative, quite complete opposite to mine. So mine were very medical based. Every time we got a cold, we got a dose of antibiotics. There was no question about it. And being in his family, I had a very different outlook. And it was quite a shock to the system, really, because I'd grown up in a very medicalized family that relied on doctors to tell them what they should be doing with their health, as opposed to taking it on board themselves. It was really beautiful to have that experience with Danny and to learn so much from him. And he was also a practitioner as well. So at the time when I was diagnosed, I went and saw my gynecologist, and he said, listen, we're going to have to take your right ovary because it's caused too much damage. And 18-year-old me, who wanted to have a million babies, was like, I don't want that to happen. What? That's my only option? That's all you're giving me at this point? I was also diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which seems to be a very common condition these days. Not normal at all, but very common. So I had this tumor. I was 18 years old. I wanted to have all the babies in the world. And I was left with this massive decision to make. And I was not okay with it. And in that moment, I thankfully listened to my partner, and he said, let me help you. Let me help you get your health in check. And so he did. I was in a very toxic position where I was working. So I left my job. I started working for myself, just doing some freelance stuff, and took complete charge of my health. Went probably a little too hardcore, but I needed that in that moment, because I went from one extreme to the next. I was eating KFC at 10 o'clock at night. I would get hungry and I'd go down and get KFC, and then I'd come home and I would binge eat. And I never was overweight, but I was a skinny fat, which is like the term skinny fat is like extremely, it might look okay on the outside, but what's going on in the inside is not okay. And I abused my body with bad food, and it was bad habits growing up as a kid. And then I had a massive shift, and I started eating well. I started seeing a naturopath. I was having acupuncture treatments 3 times a week with an amazing fertility acupuncturist on the coast. He'd been doing it for 45 years. I couldn't understand a word of English that he said, but he was the most beautiful man. And my journey really changed then when I really took initiative and I took power of my own health, because I was so used to a doctor looking after me and just doing stuff for me, as opposed to actually taking steps to actively change myself. I started seeing a naturopath. I cut out a lot of things from my diet, a lot of inflammatory foods. I realized that I was allergic to gluten and dairy during this process, which made a lot of sense to why I had so much digestive discomfort. And 12 months into my protocol, I had a scan. All of my cysts had disappeared. The growth was benign, so it was non-cancerous. However, it was the size of a mango. So originally it was the size of a mango, and it had shrunk down to the size of a grape. So massive change. And he my gyno did a backpedal and was like, I don't understand. What did you do? And I said, I changed all this stuff. And he was in complete disbelief of that food and herbs and natural medicine was able to do that. And he just was like, this is wonderful, but I just don't know how to react. And this was 12 years ago. So it was quite a while ago. And a lot of health science has progressed since then. And a lot of this is becoming more mainstream knowledge, a change of diet and how important it is for fertility and for women who have endocrine disorders such as PCOS or endometriosis. That was when my journey started. And then it's been quite a long journey in between then and now. And I'm a boy mama, and I had my little Harvey by myself. So I was married, divorced, and then got into a very toxic relationship, and all I wanted was my baby. So I had Harvey, and I had him alone. So I was 6 weeks pregnant when we separated, and I did my pregnancy by myself in the middle of COVID. So it was like a total roller coaster. One being alone in it all, and two, while the world is going through this craziness, like no one saw it coming. No one saw COVID coming, and the lockdowns and you can't see your friends and you can't have anyone at your birth. And originally I was booked into the hospital with the midwife group practice for Harvey's birth, and I honestly didn't want to do that. I'd wanted to keep home birthing. I ended up getting a private midwife, Karen Besley, and she was the most beautiful midwife. And I had a home birth with Mr. Harvey. So it was such a profound experience. And leading up to it all, I'm a massive researcher. I love doing research. I have a naturopathic background in Western herbal medicine, and I am an avid researcher. I will look into everything. So my entire pregnancy was spent researching birth statistics and different methods. So I did a hypnobirthing with some beautiful ladies on the coast, and I did a lot of preparation for my birth, but I also did a lot of preparation for my postpartum, because when I was working in clinic as a nutritionist, I saw so much with women in their postpartum and how depleted they were. And I knew that this is an area I had to focus on. One, like being a single parent. Two, it being during COVID, like the total unknown. Who's going to help me? How is this going to work? I have no family here. My family are all out west in the country. So I had no real immediate support network. And I was like, I need to figure this out. I need to work out who are my people. And sure, I can give birth. And that was the easy part. The birth is the easy part, but the postpartum is really, for me, it was like, okay, I've got to establish this community and I've got to do it now. So yeah, that's where I planned really well for my postpartum. I had a birth and postpartum doula, and she took care of me for the weeks following Harvey's birth. I also had a cleaner. I had friends coming and going, doing stuff around the house for me. I had food. So Meals4Mummas was originally owned by my doula. She had a little home business doing it. And so when I booked her, she was like, I also have a meal service. And I was like, great. And I knew the food was good. And I knew she followed Ayurvedic principles, which was another tick in the box for me. So yeah, we went down that path and had little Harvey, and the rest is kind of history until I came back around and took over Meals4Mummas.
What a journey. That is just, what a story. And also so empowering, to go through birth on your own and to go through that whole process on your own. How do I put this? But when you face the resilience that would have created within you would have been astronomical. I'm sure any other kind of difficulty that you face in your life from here on out when you can now turn around and look at everything that you've faced. You've faced tumors in your ovaries, polycystic ovaries, being told that you're going to have to lose one of your ovaries, overcoming that. And then you touched on your divorce. You've been through a divorce, which is like already huge. You've faced being a single mother when it was probably unexpected. You've faced that and risen to that challenge. And not only that, you've gone through the whole pregnancy during COVID. What an absolute journey you've been on. The resilience that you've gained from that must be absolutely incredible. And there's so many places that I feel we can go from there. Like you like home birth. We can talk to that. But you know what I'd really like to know? I'd really like to know what you actually did to prepare yourself for a healthy postpartum period. And the fact that you said the birth is the easy part, I get told that all of the time. It's crazy that I talk to that as being the metaphorical fire that women have to go through in order to finish their first kind of cycle of the metamorphosis into becoming a mother. Can you tell us about that? I'd love to know about your home birth, because people don't really talk. It is a little bit unusual birthing at home. If you don't mind, can we talk to your home birth? But also Absolutely. I really want to know how you prepared yourself for a healthy postpartum period. Like, what did you actually do for that?
Yeah. With hubby's home birth, so a bit of backstory with the pregnancy itself, because I didn't touch on this. I had spent years and years preparing my body for ultimate conception, ultimate healthy pregnancy. Ate incredible foods, would only eat organic, looked after myself, made sure my stress levels were down. All of the things that you do when you work in this industry and you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I ended up with the condition hyperemesis gravidarum, which means I was sick my entire pregnancy. And it was pure hell, to be quite honest. Being sick, like it's you've got morning sickness, and eventually, like most women, morning sickness will go away between 12 and 16 weeks. HG, you are severely depleted. You can be vomiting between 30 and 70 times. Some women are more. I was vomiting like 60 to 70 times a day. I ended up vomiting up blood, bile. It was absolute pure hell. So that experience as well really made me go, I'm going to have to do some serious work to get my body back into some form of homeostasis, because I was so depleted. I didn't eat food. I had orange juice and water for the first 8 weeks of my pregnancy. I don't know how I survived. I don't know how my body even functioned. I ended up going to the hospital 3 times and I was put on an IV drip because I was so dehydrated, because vomiting that much. My mouth was super acidic from all the spew, which is really gross. You've got to take care of your teeth as well, because constantly having that acidic environment, and your oral microbiome also determines your gut microbiome. I was having to make sure that I was like washing my mouth out, and it would just be like I would live next to the toilet. It was pure hell for 9 months. I wasn't able to work. So I was working as a nutritionist for a childcare company, and I was in their kitchen as well with their chef a couple of days a week. And I had to quit my job because I literally couldn't be around food. I couldn't be around people. I lived hugging the toilet bowl for 9 months. So it was, for me, knowing that I was so depleted, I was like, I've got to sort myself out postpartum. This will end. This is only temporary, and it's very hard being in that headspace as well when you have HG. I've spoken to a few other mums and business owners as well who have gone through HG in their pregnancy, and one, it's a mental game trying to be like, okay, you're going to get through this, because in the moment you're like, why am I doing this? Is this worth it? And it's really awful to think that, because I wanted this baby so badly, and then I ended up being so sick. So that really played into my high priority of putting postpartum first. My home birth with Harvey was beautiful, but I also was very, very optimistic and thought it would be a lot smoother than what it was and a lot faster. And I had my own internal battles during my labor, which is probably what digressed my labor a lot. I was in labor for 27 hours. I think it was like 8 hours active labor, but from the very start, my first tightening of contraction was at midnight, and then they were 3 minutes apart from then. So I had 27 hours of 3 minutes apart from the start, which was quite harrowing and very different to what I thought. I was quite naive and was like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm going to have this baby in a few hours. He's just going to come out and it's going to be fine. And it was a long process. There was a lot of me having to really surrender and let go. But I knew that once he was here, I had a great plan in place. So I want to go into what I decided to do for my postpartum. So when I was about 34 weeks pregnant, I put a post out on my Facebook. That's where most people are connected to family and like extended family and friends, and said that I didn't want any visitors for the first month, which really took people. Like, they were like, whoa, what do you mean you don't want any visitors? It's COVID and you're by yourself, and don't you want people? And I knew that first month was so crucial for how the next 40 years of my life was going to live. If I didn't take care of myself in that time and protect that bubble, I knew that it was going to affect me. And being alone as well, there's that hard thing of being a single parent, but then also taking that time to bond with your baby. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I knew that in my heart of hearts, it was the right thing to do. And I limited my visits to only my midwife, my doula, and there was a select few people who were close friends who were there purely not to cuddle my baby and hold my baby. They were there to hold me. And they respected that. And it was I'm so glad that I did it. It's one thing I'm really proud of myself for doing, is having that boundary, because like most women, we're people pleasers, and I didn't want to upset anyone else or make them feel like I was restricting them from seeing the baby. But I knew what I needed in that time. After having a really terrible pregnancy, I just wanted to hold my baby, not vomit, not feel like crap, and just be able to rest, because my body had just gone through the pregnancy being so sick and then a really intense birth. So I know I needed to take the time and space. So that was my first thing, was putting that out into the world. And I got a lot of backlash, especially from my family. They were not happy about it. I took it in my stride. Like you were saying, you build a lot of resilience when you go through all this stuff. And I was like, no, I know I've made the right decision. I'm going with my gut on this one. And yeah, so little Harvey came along. He was born at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was 2:59. And I got up into bed, and I had quite a severe tear, which I also had a very unorthodox way of dealing with that as well. So I decided to not have it sutured. It was grade 2, borderline grade 3, which means generally you have to be transferred to the hospital for that. And I was not about going to the hospital. I'd just given birth to my baby. I was absolutely exhausted, but I also had done a bit of research around tearing and suturing, or letting the body heal naturally. And I knew the risks that I was taking by doing that. And I decided to leave it and to stay in bed. And that was, for me, a little bit of a forced lie-in, because I'm a very outgoing, active person. And even though I'd set up that 40 days, I'm going to stay at home for at least 30, I knew that Ashley would be like, let's go out. We've got to get out of the house. So that was my force. You need to stay in bed. I declined my midwife's care of suturing it and decided to stay in bed. It meant that I had to be very careful because the risk of infection is high. So I was cleaning it often. I was keeping the wound dry and taking a lot of herbs, and I was taking collagen as well to help the skin repair as well. But yeah, that's where the journey started. So I stayed in bed. My doula actually spoon fed me food. God bless her. So she had, I think my first meal that I had was Nepali rice pudding, which is still on our menu. And it's one of our mama's favorite meals after birth. It is like a slow cooked rice in coconut cream and jaggery, which is like a dark brown sugar. And it's got some beautiful spices in it. And it was like a big warm hug after a marathon. Like you've just run this huge marathon of giving birth and you're absolutely exhausted. And this meal was just like, it's so good. I can drop in and just be in this moment with my newborn. That was where it all started. I had implemented a bit of a plan with her. Like she knew my dietary restrictions, so she made sure my meals accounted for those as well. I booked in meals, I think, for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I had a friend buy me another lot of meals as well. So I knew I was sorted in terms of food and nourishment. Like that was all good. And I had friends. I was living in a granny flat, so my friend out the front, she would actually come in, heat my meals up for me, bring them to bed. I wasn't getting out of bed. I was staying in bed. And I really put that down. That first week of not getting out of bed and staying in bed, I put that down to like how well of a recovery I had. And I used to work for an OB, and I went in to see him. I think it was about 4 weeks postpartum, because I was just on the cusp. I was like, should I leave the house or not? And I went and saw him, and I was like, can you just check out my wound? And he was like, wow. He was like, it's healed really well. Like they did a really good job of suturing you. And I said, I didn't get sutured. And he was like, what? Why didn't you get sutured? And I explained, it, much to his regret, that I did the choice I did. He was like, it's grown back beautifully. It's totally fine. What did you do? And I told him, keeping it clean, frankincense essential oil, and just nourishing my body, giving my body quality food that was going to help that healing process. Because had I not done that, had I not set that up, I absolutely would have just been ordering stuff off menu log, because there's no way I could even stand up to cook. Even though I had a vaginal birth, you're still so tender after birth, whether it's vaginal birth or cesarean, like the body's still so tender. So yeah, making sure I was eating really good quality, high protein, high fat, sweet, yummy, oily foods. Yeah, it was my saving grace, really. The meals were really my saving grace.
Ash, I am so blown away by this. I'm in total awe of your story. I knew some of it, but the entirety of this from start to finish, wow. Just wow. I just can't even, I'm totally in awe of everything that you've just told me. It's amazing. I'm almost lost for words. Like, what an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm in awe of everything that you've just told me. I don't even know. There are so many places that we can go from here. You know what though? There's a few things going on, and I really want to speak to a couple of different things here. I really want to speak to the gut microbiome that you mentioned before, because in the pregnancy process program, I talk quite a lot about, I've got a whole section about gut microbiome where I talk about the mouth being so essential to that. So I'd really like to talk to that. And I also really want to talk to the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, because I think that kind of ties in really nicely. But I also really want to talk to your Ayurvedic studies. So where would you like to start with that?
How do we go into that?
Okay, let's start with the Ayurvedic studies, and because then I think that will probably lead us down the path of the other two. I'm a dedicated Vedic meditator myself. I've been a Vedic meditator for over a decade now, and I am very dedicated to that practice. It's something that I rarely miss my twice a day meditations, and I do my rounding at least once a week. I haven't gone down the Ayurvedic practice much more, but it is something that is super interesting to me personally. So can we talk a little bit about why it is you've follow Ayurveda and its principles?
So I worked with an Indian family, how long ago? 8-9 years ago, as their nanny, and I learned a lot through them. I learned a lot of their practices, and it's funny, I don't know why, but I've always had this connection with India and its heritage. And there's just, I don't know, there's this maybe past life in me. Maybe I was Indian in a past life, but I have this really strong connection and love for the practices, and especially with Ayurveda. So I studied at Nature Care College in Sydney, and I did nutrition there and Western herbals, and I also did Ayurvedic studies as well. And the nutrition, it's a very holistic system. It's very similar to traditional Chinese medicine, but it felt more, for me, it felt more of a, there was more of a spiritual connection. And that was what likened me to following Ayurveda and how it all worked with the body. So when I went and studied, God, that was a while ago now. So it's been a little while, but I never really utilized a lot of Ayurvedic things in practice because I was following a lot of Western herbal. But since taking over Meals4Mummas and Jenna was following Ayurvedic principles, it felt like the right time to come back in and really promote it and help people to see what it's all about. Do you want me to talk about in terms of postpartum and how Ayurveda comes in? Like I was saying, very similar to traditional Chinese medicine with your 5 elements. So during pregnancy and childbirth, so after you've given birth, the body loses a lot of its digestive fire, and you become quite excessive in the Vata dosha. So you've got 3 doshas, and they are the 3 constitutions of Ayurvedic medicine. So you have Vata, which is the air, you have Pitta, which is your fire and digestion, and then you have Kapha, which is your earth element. And after you've given birth, you're losing the baby. So you're losing the physical, the earth, the placenta, the blood, the rasa, and you're left with a lot of space. You're left with a lot of air because your organs have been squished for 9 months. And then now you've got all this space, baby's expelled, placenta's expelled. So what we want to do is balance out those doshas. So we try and have a balance of all 3. And a lot of people are more prominent in one dosha than another. And so balancing out the Vata, and to balance that out, we need to increase Pitta dosha, which is our fire and our digestive. It's around our digestive system. So increasing heat within the body. And it doesn't mean eating chilies. Does that mean I've got to eat chili because I don't like chili? I don't want to have spicy stuff and it will affect my breast milk. And no, it does not mean chili. So there's plenty of warming spices and food. Cinnamon, cardamom, clove, very warming, grounding herbs and spices. You've got your darker sugars, your oils as well. So coconut oil, coconut's a funny one. It's tougher because it's cooling, but it's also warming as well. It has both sides of the element. So coconut is actually very great grounding and also great for the digestive system as well, because it can cool a lot of things, but then it also does have the ability to warm as well. And the biggest thing with Ayurveda is not eating cold food. And I can't stress that enough. Keeping the body warm postpartum and reigniting that digestive fire is so important. So in traditional Ayurvedic practice, you would always have gloves, always have wool socks on. You also have wool in the ears. So they believe that a lot of cold air travels through the ears and through the mouth, and that goes downward into the body. Women in India actually put cotton wool in their ears. And I've had some mums who like to really follow the whole approach for their postpartum care, and they will have wool in their ears, keeping windows and doors closed, not letting breeze come through. All those little things add up to creating, you don't want more air in your system. We're trying to create warmth. So keeping your home warm as well, all of your drinks warm, even water, like having lukewarm water, never having cold, because as soon as you add cold, it creates a lot of restriction, and the body constricts with cold. When it's cold outside, our skin shrivels, and it's not very nourishing and moisturizing. So having something warm, in Ayurveda Abhyanga, which is massage. So self-Abhyanga, doing oil massage with sweet almond oil or sesame oil or mustard oil is used a lot in India. All three of those oils have very warming constituents. Physically warming up that oil as well is really important. So yeah, mum's doing self-massage or mum's having someone come in to do massage is really important. I touched on this massage therapist the other day, actually, because I noticed, and you probably noticed this as well, when you go for a massage and you have an oil massage and then they get a hot towel and it's warm in the moment, but then they run it over your body and then you're freezing cold. You get that rush of cold air. So in postpartum, we want to avoid that. Keep the oil on, let your body soak in that moisture. We've got to get more moisture into the body because you've lost so much in childbirth and breastfeeding as well. You're losing a lot. We need to keep replenishing it. Our big focus for an Ayurvedic postpartum is food is a massive focus. Self-care is a massive focus as well. Taking time for you as a mama, not thinking you have to be on baby with baby 24/7. And I'm all for skin to skin all the time, but there's also times where you need time for you, for your soul, and you're going on this massive journey from maiden to mother if it's first baby, and then there's a term called matrescence, and it's about going from the maiden into this mother role, and it completely changes you. Your entire perception of life is changed. Really sitting with that and giving your body the time to recover emotionally, mentally, spiritually is really important as well. That is one of the factors in Ayurvedic postpartum care. So also psychological reassurance is another big component. So the language in which we use around our baby and people in our space as well, like really soft-spoken words is really important. Quiet. We want to create a very parasympathetic environment. We want to be down-regulated. As soon as something's loud and there's big bashes or clangs, it puts that body in that sympathetic response, and that's when healing starts to decline. So our big focus is keeping our food warm, warming spices, warming oily, sweet foods, very important. When I say oily, I don't mean going to KFC or getting hot chips from your local shop. It's warming as in physically warm, oily as in high quality fats, ghee, avocado, nuts, seeds. And then for like your meat, slow cooked meats, if you're deciding to have meat. In Ayurveda, we don't do meat for like until about week 4, and it's slow cooked meats as well. Traditionally, obviously in India, being a majority Hindu country, they don't eat beef. In the Western world, a lot of us do eat meat, and I don't have a problem or a argument against meat. I think if it's quality and it's prepared correctly, then I think it is really an important part of postpartum if you do decide that you're eating meat. But we can also get a lot of our nutrients from activated legumes and grains and vegetable sources as well.
Amazing. I am so fascinated. You can see, you can see me. People watching you or listening to you can't see what I'm doing because the camera's on you, but I'm literally like nodding my head and smiling. And again, I cover a lot of what you're talking about in the pregnancy process program, and that 40 days lying in and the preparation and all of this stuff that you're speaking to is so important. And it's also making me very hungry. It all sounds so delicious.
You and me both. I'm actually at our kitchen. I'm like, I wonder if there's anything left over.
But you did speak to the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and you were talking to the coldness and the air that gets created. And after the birth, the nervous system is very sympathetic nervous system dominant. And for those that don't know what that means, that is fight, flight, freeze. And I think there's fawn as well. And the parasympathetic nervous system is rest and digest. And I know how nutrition plays such an important role in returning women to that really important parasympathetic nervous system. But not everyone might know that. So can we talk a little bit about the importance of nutrition in returning the nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of the things to cover as well is that during pregnancy and postpartum as well, your progesterone levels, which, you know, are a muscle relaxant to keep your body loose and limber to be able to move around during pregnancy, it actually progesterone decreases your digestion. It makes it quite sluggish. So a lot of women experience constipation during their pregnancy, and this is like a really crucial time of starting to prepare and eat foods that aren't going to stress your body out or create too much of a sympathetic dominance. My first thing is really during your pregnancy, connecting with your food, not eating in a rush, not rushing around. That's one of the biggest things. And look, we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it now even, and I pull myself up on it. But when you're in a stress state, you're like, oh, I've got to go to this appointment, but I've got to eat something, and you rush, your body is you're not going to be able to access those nutrients because your body is in that it's in that sympathetic dominant state. And it's, oh my God, I'm so stressed. What's going on? And it's going to either really quickly be digested and assimilated, but those nutrients and vitamins aren't going to be assimilated properly because it's going through your system way too fast, or it's going to do the complete opposite and you're going to be really sluggish and drained. And in that moment, I think it's really important to create good relationships with sitting down and having a meal. And so much so for your postpartum as well, because it's going to be like, okay, baby needs to be fed and this needs to be done. But mama needs to eat too. Like she's the pinnacle of all of this. She's the top of the house. And if she's down, everything crumbles. So really creating a sacred time around eating and it not being a stressful event, which is why we do what we do. This is why we have Meals for Mummas, is because trying to think of something to cook that's nourishing and nutritious and going to support your body while you have a toddler running around, you have a screaming newborn you need to feed, it just adds way too much stress. So either having a meal train set up, using a postpartum meal delivery service that's whole foods based and is going to help your digestion as well. It's going to bring down those stress factors. We're going to try and reduce as much stress as we can because the body is not going to assimilate any nutrients or any essential vitamins and minerals if you are constantly in that sympathetic dominance. It's just, and then that's where we see postpartum depletion and milk supplies dropping and all of this stuff. It's a cascade, and it all starts with that relationship with food and sitting down and enjoying a meal as much as you obviously can. Having a newborn, and especially if you have older children as well, it's a juggle. It is such a juggle, and I totally understand that, but that's really important for me. I used to say this to my clients as well, really take the time to, when you're pregnant and if you have the ability to cook and cook a really beautiful meal for yourself, enjoy the process, right? And do it while there's no stressful stuff going on. Switch the TV off, sit down at the table. Don't have your phone with you. Like we're constantly on these things. We're constantly scrolling. That adds to the stress as well. And the comparisonitis, comparing our lives to all these people on Instagram who look like they have it all together. That adds to all that stress. So put the phone away, turn the TV off, sit and enjoy your meal, and enjoy a warm meal. That is like the biggest thing for a new mum and a pregnant mama too. Sit down, don't eat that half piece of toast that your toddler's chewed up. Sit down with them and enjoy a meal with them, because it's gonna put your body in such a better position. If you're in that relaxed state, you're well nourished as well. If you're not eating for hours and hours on end, your body's, hello, I'm starving. And then that stress response just keeps getting higher and higher. But yeah, my biggest thing would be to sit down and enjoy a warm meal when we're talking about sympathetic and parasympathetic dominance.
Because nothing can get repaired if you're in that sympathetic nervous system. There is no repair happening. There is no rest and digest happening when you're in that constantly high level stressed state. So it is.
And at times you're eating as well with your sleep period. So between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is your body's physical cellular repair time. And then between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. is your psychological repair. Eating really late as well. And I'm going to say it, Ben and I had dinner the other night at 10 o'clock and we both looked at each other and I said, this is ridiculous. We're like totally eating into our body's physical repair. We should not be eating dinner at 10 o'clock, but it's, if you can eat closer to at least 2 hours before bedtime, try and eat earlier in the evening. If you've got other children, sit down, enjoy that meal with them as much as you can, because young children and trying to have a peaceful dinner can be quite challenging. But I think letting go of expectation as well, if you're a mum of multiple children, especially with a newborn and a toddler, and that transition's very hard for a lot of women. So yes, not eating too late and then putting that extra physiological load on the body to try and break it down. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's, the body is not designed to be able to digest things and assimilate if it's in this fight or flight response, constant stress mode. It's just not going to work. And it's long term, it just has such a great effect on a woman's body and that recovery time postpartum.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because postpartum fatigue, postpartum depletion is a very real thing. And I feel like dehydration, nutrition, sugar, caffeine consumption, iron deficiency, like all these things play a role in this. And I think far too many women chalk up their depleted feeling or their fatigue as that's just because they're not sleeping properly, or because that's just what life as a new mum is.
Yeah.
What did you
That's what it's supposed to be like.
It's supposed, but it's the common, but it's not normal. And I think this is it's such an important phrase that we need to keep reminding people that there are things that are common, but it's not normal to feel them. Yes, it's common. Lots of women experience it, but it's not normal. Yeah. And it's that the postpartum fatigue, the postpartum depletion, yes, it's common, but it's not normal, and we shouldn't be normalizing it. So I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually had a wonderful first 12 months. I had so much energy, and I definitely 100% put it down to the care practices that I took and the time I took to focus on my nutrition and what I was eating, and supplementation as well where I needed it. I'm a big believer in not taking supplements for the sake of taking supplements, and it being not a cop-out, because I don't want to say a cop-out, but just a quick fix really, instead of actually addressing what you're eating, because we can get what we need from food. We really can. If it's prepared properly, we can get the essential vitamins and minerals we need from food. Yeah, big focus on trying to making that dinner time ritual. And then, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. So I had someone knocking on my door. Sorry, what
we were talking about dehydration.
Yes, dehydration.
Sugar,
yes,
caffeine.
Yeah. So I wrote a post on this the other day about managing sleep deprivation and fatigue. And we've got to cut the coffee out. We've got to cut it out, because this adds into that fight or flight, that sympathetic dominance. It adds so much pressure on our adrenal glands as well. Like drinking coffee releases more cortisol in the body. If you are already sleep deprived, your body's already in that sympathetic state, we're just adding more stress. And we think, oh, this coffee is great. It's going to give me plenty of energy for the next 2 hours. And then I'm going to have a huge crash. And then I'm going to want another one. And it's so hard, because we're in this Western culture where it's very normal to have a coffee every day. And the coffee and the fatigue and the sleep thing, the whole story with that is very connected. I need to go have a cup of coffee. I can't function until I have a coffee. And we should be able to function as human beings without coffee.
So
and
how much coffee is too much coffee? Any coffee?
Look, I'm not an anti-coffee. I drink coffee, but I think postpartum, if you're not taking care of yourself and your fuel for the day is a coffee, we need to start addressing that. I'm absolutely, like, if you want to have a coffee, if your coffee is your one love, then go for it. But look at the repercussions of that from a sleep point of view. If you're breastfeeding as well, look, a lot of lactation consultants will say, yeah, it's fine to have 1 cup of coffee a day. And it's absolutely fine. You are not doing any harm to your baby, but that caffeine release does also come through your breast milk. And if you're a really wired mum, babies pick up on your energy. They will match your energy. So if Bub's really wired, you're really wired, you're like, oh, I'll just have another coffee to get through the day. And it's just creating a vicious cycle for both of you. If baby's wired and stressed, you're picking up on that. It's real symbiotic connect. Like, the connection between the two of you is so special and so integrated that a coffee can really throw things for you. And I noticed this because I didn't have coffee for the first, I think it was 3 months after I had Harvey. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get a coffee. And the day I had it, he was wired. And I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. I didn't think it would have this much of an effect on him. But then I felt myself, I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just get another one today. And then I noticed this pattern of me being wired and then him picking up on that energy as well. And then we both weren't sleeping well. And then I started to feel really depleted, and I got lazy with my food, and I was like, you know what? I'll just have a coffee and then I'll eat at lunchtime. And I had to pull myself back into line and go, whoa, like, you're replacing your food with coffee, and I can't do that. And I noticed that in that week period where I was like, oh, I'll just get a coffee and I'll eat later, how much it affected my body and my recovery as well. Like, I still had a bit of abdominal separation because when you're breastfeeding still, progesterone still like very relaxant for your muscles. You don't completely knit back together until breastfeeding has ceased. But yeah, I was like, oh wow, I'm coning when I'm doing exercises. Like, I feel like I'm not healing well. Like, I've got to stop this. Like, I've got to get back on track with eating well. And I did. And I cut the coffee. I was having a decaf maybe once or twice a week. And I noticed that was fine, but I made sure that I was eating. Having coffee as a replacement it's not a meal. Coffee is not a complete meal. It doesn't provide you what you need. And a breastfeeding mama too is having 300 to 400 calories extra per day just to keep up. And if we're skipping that one meal, like, it's just, you're trying to play catch up all day, and you can never really catch up from that missed meal. You know what I mean? Especially with like women's health and hormones. Like, we really need a meal first thing in the day. We need something with quality protein, quality fats. It's so essential. It's so essential for our functioning and how we put ourselves out into the world. Yeah, so I'm big now on let's look at the alternatives to a coffee. And a lot of the time a coffee is a ritual for a woman. It's not so much there's the connection with, oh yeah, I need a coffee to survive today, but it's more about I'm just going to make myself a coffee and slow down. So what other things can we have instead of the coffee? Can we have a herbal tea perhaps, or a cacao or a matcha or something with a lot less caffeine in it, and focus more on the ritual of slowing down to make that drink? And the slowing down is going to help with the fatigue over having more stimulants, constant stimulants. It's just, yeah, we need to, as a society as a whole, we need to stop the stigma around the need for coffee. We can function if we have a good quality, high fat, high protein breakfast and rest properly, like not be rushing around after having a baby.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with so much that you've just said there. The more for breakfast, making sure that the metabolism is stimulated well enough that you're waking up hungry and wanting to have breakfast, and having those kind of lighter meals. Your food goes the opposite way than most people do now. Most people eat lightly at breakfast and then their meals get heavier as the day goes through. I'm definitely all for more for breakfast, protein, good carbs, good fats, all that type of thing. And then your meals getting lighter as the day goes on, and absolutely not replacing food for coffee. Don't get me wrong. I drink coffee. I have one a day, but it's like my pre-training ritual. I have my pre-training ritual of a coffee and a banana. And it's like that signals to me that I'm about to go and utilize all of that energy that the coffee is about to give me. But it's like, for me, it is a bit of a ritual because I normally train after I finish work. So it's I've finished work, like my treat of being like, I've finished work, I'm going to have my coffee and banana, and then I'm going to go do something for myself now. So it does have that ritual kind of nature to it, but I would never replace food with coffee. So 100% agree with that. And you have spoken a little bit about breastfeeding there. And I recently spoke to a board certified lactation consultant, and she mentioned when you're breastfeeding that, what it takes for your body to produce the milk and the amount of calories. And if you're not adequately fueling yourself with correct nutrition, you will absolutely be left depleted. So and you have mentioned the calorie consumption, but when it comes to breastfeeding, can we talk a little bit about what women need nutritionally when it comes to breastfeeding?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, breast milk is a high fat. It's made up of a lot of fat lipids. So making sure you've got a lot of clean, healthy fats in your diet is very important. Omega-3 fatty acids, your B vitamins as well is really important for breast milk production. But in terms of, I'm not a calorie counting nutritionist. I don't believe in it. I'm giving the example of calories for an indication of how much more we need. But a breastfeeding mama should be having around about average woman's between 2,200 and 2,800 calories a day to be able to meet the demands of her baby's breast milk and also her own structure as well. And that's a big variance, but we're working with a large pool of the population. So that will vary person to person. And I think it's really important that what you're eating, not be so much about the calories, but the quality of the calories. Like absolutely, we need that much, but don't fill that up with crap. Don't be like, oh great, we'll eat a packet of these delicious M&M cookies because that'll get my calories up. Let's switch things out. We make a beautiful lactation slice which has got cardamom and coconut and almond meal. It's got a lot of coconut oil, so it's very fatty. It's a beautiful breastfeeding snack. But that high fat for mama is going to help her hormones to help produce more breast milk. Same thing with your hydration as well. Like staying hydrated is so important. I don't know how many bottles of water I drank. I used to drink. So for my body weight, there's a calculation that I learned when I was studying nutrition.
0.3333.
0.333. Yeah, 333 times your body weight in kilos. So I think mine was around 2.8 liters. Now, for a pregnant mama, you want to add another 500 mils. And if you're breastfeeding, you want to add another liter. That's how much. And I was like, what? How am I going to drink almost 4 liters a day? But you do it. And there's so many amazing products now. I don't have any in my office, but Kira Rumble has brought out Hydra Mama, which is it's an electrolyte drink with methylated folate. It's got B6, it's got vitamin C, and it's for pregnant and breastfeeding mamas. And just to help them to be able to, they're beautiful flavors. It's all naturopath approved stuff. No sugar in it. So it uses a xylitol or erythritol, actually. I think it might be an erythritol base. All natural flavorings, no colorings or anything like that. And it's such a good tool for if you're not a water drinker. to be able to add that to your water. Like obviously we want mamas drinking water. We don't want them drinking carbonated stuff. Carbonated as well in postpartum is like a no-no from an Ayurvedic perspective because of the gas. It creates so much more air. So staying off carbonated drinks. But these Hydro Mama sachets, they're so yummy. They're so yummy and they're so like amazing one for if you've got awful morning sickness and especially HG. Kira had HG as well, so that's why she created that product line. And pregnancy and your postpartum, like breastfeeding, all that water. I don't know actually how I drank almost 4 liters of water. I did struggle a little bit because it was a lot, but I made so much milk. Like it was ridiculous. And I know that's not everyone's story. It's all these little factors that I considered in my postpartum plan, was making sure my own nutrition was good, making sure that my stress was down by not having visitors come into my home, by having outsourcing services, getting my meals made for me, having a cleaner, having a counselor, all those things. Setting up, that's the psychological part, like the psychological reassurance, getting that all sorted, and fueling my body with a ton of good quality filtered water. And like I was making so much milk, it was ridiculous. I would have, I don't know if you've seen, you probably know because you're from New Zealand, the haka. Have you seen the haka? It's like this cup that sits over your breast, and I wouldn't even have it suctioned on. I'd literally just have it sitting there, and I would collect like 250 mils within 3 minutes. My supply was ridiculous. It was amazing. It was so good. And I was able to actually feed another baby whilst her mum was going through chemo. I got connected with a mum in the Hunter Valley, and she was about to undergo chemo. Her baby was 3 months old, and I fed her baby for, I think it was about 6 or 7 months. And it was just with the letdown, just like whatever the extra was that was coming off, which was really beautiful. But yeah, keeping your body and your cells and your tissues hydrated is so important. One, for your recovery and collagen production and the cellular repair as well. When we're depleted of hydration in the blood and in the body, it stops our body from being able to repair. Like it really puts a hold to it. And that equation that we were both just chatting about, the 0.333 times your body weight, that's the minimum your body needs to function at a cellular level. But yes, quality water is a really big part of your postpartum, and filtered water where you can, or natural spring water. And I say this because I'm going to talk a bit more like about the gut microbiome in our town water. And I don't know what Sydney is like, but generally town water it's filtered with a lot of chemicals. You got a lot of chlorine in water. There's also pharmaceuticals, agricultural wash-offs and waste from, if they're spraying plants or something around your local area, that goes into the waterways. All of those chemicals that they're adding in to clean the water, your liver and your gut is becoming a filter for that. It's really crucial. Your water quality, getting a water filter in your house, like not so much the Brita don't really filter out chlorine, but some of the, like the Zazen. We have Zazen at home, which is a water filter that takes out chlorine and fluoride, rust, dirt, like all those contaminants that are in our local water, and just makes the most amazing water that's so hydrogen rich and hydrating for yourselves. Water is such a big component to your healing. We're made of, what is it, like 75-80% water. We've got to replenish it, and if we're not doing that, especially in that postpartum period, we're adding more things to slowing our body down in its healing. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And just, you're talking about a little bit of supplementation there, the Hydro Mama, and being a strength coach, I can't not ask what your thoughts are on protein powder during this time, because I get asked a lot. I have my own thoughts on that, but I do get asked a lot about protein powder during the kind of pregnancy postnatal. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's like a little bit like the coffee situation. I'm not anti protein powder at all. I think it has its place, but I also think that let's stay with how can we fuel and give our body protein with whole foods. let's focus on the foods first. Listen, protein powder definitely has its convenience, and I would opt more for a collagen-based protein than I would a whey protein, as more for a cellular repair, like coming more from that perspective. But I do honestly believe that we need to focus more on getting women to take initiative with their health and learn more about their food and what they're eating and what fuels them. Like some women just don't function well off meat. Like their body actually just doesn't agree with it. And that's fine. I think I'm really intuitively based with eating. I don't follow any particular diet, that I'm not paleo or I'm not this or I'm not that. I'm really, really big focus on learning how to intuitively eat. And occasionally that will mean, you know what, let's go to the ice cream shop and have an ice cream. And I'm not suggesting eating ice cream in postpartum, but I think if this comes back to the stress thing, right? If you're having this, oh my God, if I eat the ice cream, then I'm breaking what I'm doing and I'm ruining everything. That stress is more detrimental to your body than just eating the ice cream and enjoying it and savoring that moment and going, yeah, I'm nourishing my body 85% of the time, and 20% of the time I'm treating myself and I'm enjoying life. And we can't live in this. At the start, I was saying to you, I went from this extreme to this extreme. And the rigidity that I was in, like I wouldn't even eat out anywhere. I'd only eat at home because I knew everything was organic and everything was spray-free and everything was grass-fed and finished. And I got so stuck in this bubble of I have to be perfect. And it's life isn't perfect. And it's not enjoyable. And there's things that we can lax on things. And if it means that you having a protein shake over not having anything to eat at all, of course the protein shake is going to be better for you. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think there's definitely needs to be more of a focus on us preparing our own food and having that connection with it. But there's definitely a time and place for convenience, especially in this world. We're in this busy world and everyone's flat out all the time, and we don't always have time to sit and prepare a meal lovingly and connect with it. So there's times where you're going to be on the run, and you know what? The best thing to do, instead of going down to the coffee shop and grabbing yourself a cappuccino and not eating anything, is to chuck a few scoops of your protein, chuck a banana in, put some milk in, blitz it up and take that with you. You know what I mean? I'd much prefer a mama doing that than not eating at all.
They're good enough that we were talking about before.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Now let's talk, because we've talked so much about nutrition and we've gone all through
we've gone everywhere
things, you know, and there is one thing that we haven't really talked about too much, and I think we really should talk about it before we wrap things up, and that's Meals4Mummas, like your amazing business that actually caters to this all-important stage. So let's talk a little bit about Meals4Mummas. We know how it started. You've spoken about the doula who looked after you in that early postpartum stage.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you do and how you help women during this time.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so when we took over Meals4Mummas a little over a year ago now, and beautiful Jen started it as a little home business alongside her doula business. And she reached a capacity with it, and her calling was really in the birth space. So we had a discussion, and Ben and I took over Meals4Mummas, and we really wanted Jenna was amazing, but the reach was limited with what she could do, like with her availability as well. So we decided that we wanted to make the service something that was available to women when they're in the hospital as well. So a 24-hour service, which was really quite important, because I have seen hospital food and it really breaks my heart that people have to eat that. It's really awful. I know I'm quite emotionally attached to it. I probably need to work on that, but hospital food is not conducive of a postpartum body. It is hands down not. If there is a hospital that is doing slow cooked, beautiful soups that are organic, then please somebody tell me. But From my experience, every time I have seen a hospital tray come out, it is a packet of juice, 2 Weet Bix, a thing of milk, either like a thing of red jelly or some fruit that clearly has been sitting in a factory for months. And I look at it, I'm like, that's not food. This isn't going to support this mama. And those first few days, and especially that first 48 hours, her recovery time then is so crucial, especially when it comes to that connection with bub and breastfeeding. And this is where we're seeing a lot of issues is mums aren't being taken care, their nutrition is not being taken care of, which delays their recovery. It also then creates more of a sympathetic state in the body, which stops milk from coming in. Then there's this cascade of interventions and issues that arise from that. And it starts with food. It starts with our basic human needs of quality, nutritious foods. When we took over, we decided that we were going to do a 24-hour service. So we visit the hospital quite frequently, and we're all over. So we're based on the Central Coast of New South Wales, but we travel to Sydney quite a lot. Most of our customer base is in Sydney, and then we also go to the Newcastle, Hunter Valley region. And yes, we have this 24-hour service, but we also our predominant protocol is Ayurvedic. Most mums book in 4 weeks. They book a 4-week postpartum package, and that will feed them so their first lot of meals. We get in touch with their doula or their husband, whoever is their birth support person who is going to handle communication leading up to their birth. When they book in the package, we get in touch with them. We've got all their birthing information, where they're giving birth, the hospital, if they're home birthing, what is their backup hospital. We get all the details so we know exactly what's going on and what the plan is. We contact their doula or their husband. We give them the information. Literally all they have to do is send us a text and say, she's in labor. That's all we need from them. And as soon as we get that go ahead, we then send a chef into the kitchen at whatever time. So last night was actually quite early. It was 8 p.m., but we've had a few like 2 a.m. messages and phone calls. And so this is part of the service we provide. So we've got on-call chefs who come in at whatever time of day or night. They prepare that mama's meals. So we're very big on the fresh is an absolute must for us. So they cook their meals from scratch that night or day or whenever it is. It's cooked generally within a couple of hours. And then myself or Ben always do the first delivery. So we go and pick it up and then we drive it down. We've got a refrigerated truck. So we drive it down to their hospital and take it to their hospital room and give them their first meal. So
isn't that amazing? I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then afterwards they have it delivered to them.
Yeah. And then look, it depends on what day of the week. And they're like, oh, but like your delivery day to Sydney, our normal delivery schedule to Sydney is a Tuesday. But if you're booked on this 1 month package and you have the on-call chef service, like we go any day. It's just whenever baby comes. We're not going to be like, oh, sorry, we'll just have to wait till Tuesday. It's whenever Bubba comes is when your meals come. And then you receive enough meals to lead you up to that next delivery day. And then every week thereafter, you receive a week's worth of meals. So all of our meals are cooked fresh. If you're not booking on a monthly package and you're just booking week to week or snacks, they'll get delivered on the same delivery day. And we cook the meals the day before. So nothing gets frozen. In Ayurveda, we don't want to freeze food because we're adding more cold, and it also extracts a lot of the life force from the food as well. When you're freezing it, molecules in food open up and a lot of the nutrients get diminished. So we don't freeze anything here. We don't use any frozen stuff either. Everything we buy is fresh. So Ben goes down to the Sydney markets on Monday morning very early and goes to our organic farms, and he picks out all our produce and brings it all back. And then the girls are in and they're, cooking all these beautiful meals for all these mamas. Yeah, it's been such a journey, and the awareness around postpartum too. I think there's so many amazing midwives and doulas as well now in the industry that are really ramping up the need for postpartum care and how important it is. And women are really starting to recognize that as well. They're seeing their friends go through postpartum and maybe not seeing the ideal situation. They're like, okay, I want mine to be different, or they're having those conversations with their own mothers and saying, what was it like when you had me? And a lot of the time I was overwhelmed and there was so much stress and I didn't know what I was doing and I was exhausted, and they don't want that to be their story. We want motherhood to be come from an empowered place, and having that community and having that support is so crucial to having empowered motherhood. So yeah, that's what we're here for.
I really want to segue from what you were just saying then to the last question, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
because the last thing is, what is the one thing that you wish women knew before they had a baby? It was just such a beautiful segue. I'm like, I don't want to lose this train of thought.
I wish women knew that they know the answer in here. Like, everything we need is within us, and we can get information overload and get so much from an external environment. But at the end of the day, come back here, because the answer's in here. And you will know what is best for you and your pregnancy and your postpartum. Take the information in, digest it, and then let this, your heart, lead the way instead of your head. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to note here that, interestingly, that is one of my things for this year. Is my big thing for this year was to actually tune into myself more. Yeah. But I think in order to do this, we need to create the space to do it. And I think part of creating this space is slowing down and practicing the self-care like you were talking about earlier, like making sure that you do create some space for yourself and that you do practice those self-care rituals for yourself to be able to slow down and tune in. And it's all of that comes back to what you're talking about, with making sure that you are able to get from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic nervous system, that you can create space, that you can slow down, that you do those self-care practices. Because if you're not doing those things, there is no way that you're going to be able to tune in to yourself whatsoever, to your intuition, to understand, to know what it is that you actually want, need, all that type of thing. You're not going to be able to do it unless you implement all of these things that you have just so beautifully been talking about. So I absolutely agree with that. So thank you so much. I've been so blown away by your story and the resilience that you've shown, and even just the growth in your business. What an amazing story. I am actually a little bit blown away. I have been a bit speechless in a lot of the things that you've been saying. So thank you so much for your time today. It has been so insightful, and you've shared so much, and it's been so educational. And I could have spoken to you for so much longer, but I also I know that your son has been taken to the medical center today, and
I've just seen a text come through and all is okay. There's no broken bone.
And the fact that you were even able to put that to a side to be able to talk to me today, I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And if you're hearing this message, I want to say a huge thank you, because it means that you've listened to this entire episode. Of course, if you have any questions about the things that we covered in this episode, or want to know more about me or my other projects, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at The Pregnancy Process. For those currently in their conception or pregnancy journey, you can actually apply to join my complimentary but private community, the Preggy Training Crew. And you'll find my community application and social media links in the episode description. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, I absolutely encourage you to share it with other women just like you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.